Okay, so sorry for the first video's audio. Like, it was really trash. I'm not using headphones now, so I hope it's better. Did some tests and, it's better without my mic. So sorry if, you hear an echo and stuff like that, and the quality's super bad. I don't have the headphones on, so, you won't hear the static, but it might be worse. And, even though the audio for the first video was really bad, I'm not gonna redo it for a while. So I'm just gonna work on the second what if that I had So this what if, we're gonna start with, well, first I should clarify. This is a what if Deku was betrayed slash lucky, unluckiest, So this time I'm gonna make it so Inko, Midoriya, so we're gonna start off the story. When Midoriya was born, Inko died giving labor to Midoriya, and his dad put him up for adoption, and he got adopted, but it wasn't a really good family. He got physically abused, and he was really stressed out at school, and he goes to the same school, so he still gets bullied by Bakugo, but we're gonna change one thing. Aoyama was always stayed friends with Deku, and Aoyama was in his class. When he got the news that he was quirkless, Aoyama didn't care. He was still friends with Deku, and then the rest went as canon, and then the sludge villain incident happened. The first sludge villain incident happened, and Deku, well, Deku has been training for a very long time, because instead of him crying, and because of all the stress he's gone through for school and all the stress at home, he became, very keen at dodging, blows, and also, he's very tough. I would say, beginning Kirishima, when Kirishima, first season Kirishima hardness. Not too hard, but, not too soft. But, yeah. So, he's been training by himself, and the only one who knows is Aoyama. And he's been training to become a hero, even though the shitty life he's gone through. Being neglected. He had to make his own food. He had to get a job when he was actually young, because he had to pay for his own food. Never, his room was a small, basically, closet. It wasn't really a room, it was a closet that Midoriya had to sleep in. When guests were over, he was always told to go in his room. And just a bunch of that stuff. But actually we're gonna change it. It's not that Aoyama was his friend. He got adopted by the Aoyamas, but he didn't change his name. His name is still Izuku Midoriya. Because they didn't want him to be an Aoyama, but Aoyama still wanted to be friends with Deku. So Deku and Aoyama are like brothers. Even they're like real brothers, not just like adopted, because they both care for each other. But all these years of constant stress and abuse has resulted in Deku still wanting to become a hero, but he doesn't have that hero mentality. Like, when you first meet him, you don't think he would want to become a hero. He has one of those faces where it's like, leave me alone or I'll clock you, stuff like that. And he's, quiet, reserved, doesn't talk much. And, he's not what you would expect to be a hero. He's not bright and bubbly. He's more depressed. But he still trained hard and worked hard. So the sludge villain attack happened, so Deku was walking with Aoyama home, and they were taking a shortcut, and and they hear a rumbling, and they see a drain cover move, so they back up and see a sludge villain, and they and he goes, "Which one of you wants to be my meat shield?" As they both start trying to run away, as he goes, "Nah, we're not having that," as he blocks off the path. But since there was two of them, and Aoyama has a quirk, he uses his quirk just a little bit, and just enough to stagger the sludge villain, and goes, "Ah, bastard! I guess I'll take you." As all they hear from behind you is, "I am here," as the sludge villain says, "Oh, fuck, fuck, fuck," as they just hear, "Texas Smash!" As Aoyama asks for an autograph, and then All Might says, well, if you're watching this, you should know who I'm talking about. But um then All Might says to Izuku, young man, would you like an autograph too?" As Deku says, no, I would love an autograph, but it would probably get ripped up at home. As since he got there a little sooner, his time is not completely up, as he asks, as he Izuku actually has the time to ask All Might, "So, All Might, do you think a quirkless person can become a hero?" As All Might goes, if you want my true answer, no, I don't think a quirkless person can become a hero. But life is full of uncertainties, You'll never know what happens. So, if you try hard enough, maybe it could happen. You never know. As, he's less of a dick this time, as saying, as trying to instead of trying to keep him out of trouble, he tells him that he doesn't think he can, and like a quirkless person could become a hero, but if you try hard enough, it might happen, because life is uncertain. As this gives Deku a passion that he's never had before, as even All Might says, even though All Might discouraged him, All Might said life is unpredictable, so it could happen. So it gives Izuku it could be that he's never heard in his life, because he's always heard you could never be a hero. And the one time he heard that, he actually smiled, and Aoyama goes, "Brother, you're smiling." As All Might goes, "Oh, so he's your brother?" And Aoyama goes, "Yeah, he's my adopted brother, but my parents don't really treat him well, so I'm 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 basically the only friend he has." As Izuku goes, "That's it. We're going to train." As Aoyama goes, "What? You never wanted to train with me." "I don't care. I have lots of passion. Let's train." As All Might goes, such a bright young spirit. As they hear an explosion in the background after All Might jumped off. And All Might goes to the explosion, goes a block before the explosion, and turns back to his skinny form and goes, "My time's out. Damn it." As it's the sludge villain who shook out of his bottle that All Might put him in. He didn't fall out. He shook out of it when they were talking, and Deku and Aoyama go there because they were close to there, and Deku's training spot is near the explosion. Deku's training spot, they go past where the explosion was, so they were going there anyway. So they go there, and they see the sludge villain, and Deku goes, "Oh no, it's my fault. I distracted All Might." As Aoyama goes, Don't say that. Don't say it. It's your fault. It's not." As they see the pros not doing anything, as Aoyama says, "Why aren't you guys doing anything?" As they say, "We can't. He has a hostage, and none of our quirks are useful for this." As they see a blonde-haired kid, and Deku and Aoyama recognize him as Bakugo. As before anybody notices, Deku is running, and he's like, why am I running? He bullied me. I what I don't know. As he thinks, I shouldn't think about why I'm running. I should think about how I should stop this. And instead of um instead of him clawing, he throws his book back. He throws his backpack, blinding blind and the book hits the villain in the eye as it goes. As Deku jumps instead of still running, he jumps and tackles um the sludge. I mean the Bakugo out of the sludge as he says, "Run, Bakugo!" And but Bakugo says, "But Deku, why? Because because if anybody has a chance to being a pro, it's you. And if my purpose was to make sure you become a pro, I'm fine with that. At least I helped one person," as he gave him a genuine smile that Bakugo has never seen. As Bakugo gets infuriated, as he goes, as he says, "Deku, just because you saved me," as all they hear is Detroit Smash. As, All Might jumps in and smashes the sludge villain away. As Deku, um, as they get saved, and All Might says to Deku in front of the publicity and in front of the paparazzi, camera crew, and heroes that were there, as he puts the two kids down and says, "Young man," as he puts his hand on Bakugo, "you were brave for not you're quite strong for lasting as long as you did inside the sludge villain. And you are and you that's all he says actually." And then he goes to Deku as everybody else thinks he's gonna scold Deku, as he goes, "Young man, even though you are quirkless," he said instead it says, "Even though you're quirkless," he goes, "Young man, do you have a quirk?" And Deku says no. And he goes, and All Might says, "Well, even though you don't have a quirk, you risked your own life to save somebody else, and not only did you manage to free him, you made sure to find the best possible way to get this young man out of danger. And if you want my advice, both of you have the marks to becoming a true hero." As media goes wild. All Might declares, next few, media says All Might declares next a hero, next generation hero, and then some companies and media do like ploys to get views and stuff. All Might declares next number one hero, or like prodigies or stuff like that. And it just gets big, and Deku and Bakugo both get big publicity and stuff like that. And they train because All Might couldn't find Deku after meeting all of his fans and stuff. So he goes to the entrance exam, and he does a little bit. He actually gets 10 points because he asked for a baton because he was training with staffs and batons. As he gets a staff instead, and he goes, "This will do," as he gets 10 points, and then he gets 60 rescue points as he comes in second place for the entrance exams, right behind Bakugo. And Aoyama does a little bit better because Deku still has his tactical mind. So he suggested Aoyama, instead of using full blast of his naval laser, in short bursts like a gun, or like instead of like, a full auto, use it like a burst or a three or a single shot, instead of one shot full power. It's like like that. And so Aoyama gets a little bit higher than what he got. I actually don't remember what he got. But yeah. So then the few weeks pass, and Aoyama and Deku get their applications to UA, as Aoyama's parents are surprised that Deku actually got in, as they're like, "Did you cheat?" And Aoyama says, "No, Dad, he didn't cheat. He's been training ever since he turned 10." And his dad was surprised, and he goes, "Really?" And Midoriya goes, "Aoyama, you don't have to." And Aoyama says, "No, they need to hear this. Because of all your neglect, he's had to train himself. He's barely gotten any sleep." And Deku goes, "Aoyama, were you waiting for me?" And Aoyama goes, "Yes. You're my brother, so I'm supposed to be there for you." As they're as his mother, Aoyama's mother asked, "Izuku, how long do you usually get to sleep?" As Deku goes, "If I'm lucky, an hour." As they're shocked, and they go, "Well, how are you? They ask, "Then how are you so good at school?" As Deku says, "My time is spent training, then my time is spent at school, then training, then studying at home, and then going to my night job." As they go, "You have a night job?" As Deku says, "Yes, because I thought you guys wouldn't want me to use your food, so I bought my own." As they're shocked, and they go, "We're sorry for the neglect." And Deku goes, "Well, I appreciate the compliment, but I do not accept it. I mean, I appreciate the apology, but I do not accept it." As they're shocked by this, and Deku says, "I will become my own type of hero." And there is only one person. I'm sorry, he actually says there's only two people that deserve me to risk my life. As Aoyama already knows one is Bakugo because he did it, but he doesn't know who the second one is. As Deku starts walking off, and Aoyama goes, "Yo, Deku, who's the second person? I know the first person is Bakugo, but who's the second?" As Deku says, "It's you, silly." As Aoyama starts tearing up, and he goes, You're a sparkly bro." As says, You have an obsession with sparkles." As he goes, "No, I don't." As then they go to UA, and Deku's still alone. He doesn't make a lot of friends, except for Uraraka. As Uraraka says, "Yo, thanks for saving me." As Deku goes, "No problem. That's what a hero should do." As Tenya says, you are a better student than me. You notice that that there was an extra part of an exam." As Deku says, "Actually, I didn't notice. If you want to if you want to know the truth, um, I kind of saw her in trouble, and just ran to help her. There wasn't anything special about it. I mean, I figured there might be, but there was never a guarantee. And even if there wasn't an extra part, I would still save her, because that's what a hero should do." As Tenya goes, "I'm so foolish. I should think more like a hero." As they see a caterpillar on the ground, and they're like, "Why is that caterpillar so big?" And it rolls over and goes, "If you're here to make friends, just leave. I am your teacher, Shoto Aizawa. Now, everybody sit down." As they sit down, and he goes, "So, number one, I run my class my own way. I have full permission from the principal of this school to run my class any way I shall. So, no stupid questions. Number two, we are going to have a a quirk assessment exam, as they are like, yes, this is going to be so much fun. And as Shoto goes, this is going to be fun, you say. Well then, whoever gets last place in the entrance exam loses. I mean, whoever gets last place loses. As, they there's everybody has their exam, and it's kind of the same. Deku gets last on everything for the exam, except for the side to side jump. Actually, he gets a little bit higher on everything except for stuff except for the ball throw where he used his quirk because he's been training. So he's quite lean, and and he pulls up the scores and he goes, "Well, this is your scores for the assessment." And they all look and they go, "Oh, sorry, Izuku." As they look at who Izuku is, because they already went through roll call, but I don't feel like going through roll call. As Aizawa goes, it's not over. As they're all like, "What? It's not over?" As he goes, "Yes, because we have a classmate here that is quirkless. So we are going to do a second part of this." As they all go, "Who's quirkless?" And Izuku goes, "Why do you think somebody's at the bottom of the board? Why would you..." No, he goes, "Why do you think somebody would be at the bottom of the board at a quirk assessment test?" They all go, "Oh shit, so you're quirkless?" As Deku goes, "Yes, I'm quirkless." And they all like, "But then how did you get in the class 1A?" As Aizawa goes, "That's the reason we're having the second part. We're gonna do the entrance exam. The combat portion was 30 minutes. We are gonna have an hour. We are gonna have an hour of individual. No, not individual. We are gonna have an hour, and there is gonna be basically as many robots as the entrance exam. Actually, make that a little more, or make that a little more, and we will have everybody going to where the entrance exam took place, and everybody is gonna destroy robots. I'm gonna split you up so it's even, as most of the people. Aizawa says, "Okay, now if you get above 70, I'm gonna stop yours right there. I'm gonna call you and stop you." As they all go, "What? But we're supposed to get as much as we can." As Shota goes, "I was lying." And they all go, "Whew." As they all go into the exam, and they're like, "I thought we were supposed to be split up, sir." And he goes, "I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like splitting you guys up. So we're gonna have an hour. Here's your badges." As he hands them badges, and they're like, "What is this?" For the people who, like the Momo and Todoroki, are like, "What is this?" As Aizawa says, "They're what keep track of your points. I forgot. You guys took the recommendation." As Aizawa goes, "Okay, begin." As everybody except for Deku is like, everybody except Deku, Aoyama, because Aoyama was right behind Deku, and Bakugo took off. As they are like, "What?" And they hear an explosion in the background, and they see Aoyama running off, Deku running off, and Bakugo, blowing up behind him to get fast ahead. Bakugo goes, "If you don't catch up, nerds, I'm gonna beat ya." No, he goes, "If you don't catch up, extras, I'm gonna beat ya." As he's more cocky this time. As they all get their points, and the hour's up. As Aizawa says, "Okay, so you already saw your replacements for the first test, but since that wasn't a fair test for one of our students, we had this test. And now do you want to see your points?" As they all go, "Yeah." As it surprises everybody that Bakugo actually lost. As it surprises everybody that Midoriya got first. As Deku, what's his name? Bakugo goes, "Damn it, Nord! How did you get ahead of me?" As Deku says, "Well, they gave me the weapon I asked for this time. Last time I asked for a baton, they gave me a staff. So I didn't quite have the right clothes on for the proper movements." As they are like, "What weapon did he ask for?" As Aizawa chips in and says, "He asked for one katana." As they see the katana on their back and they're like, "Oh," on his back, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, no shit. Oh, duh." And then he says, short sword for throwing and for parrying." As they see one on it, as Deku pulls it from behind him, and he goes, "This one," and he puts it back, and they all like, "How? But how?" As Aoyama chips in, he's been training for a long time. As all the kids are starting to wonder what the fuck is up with this kid. As the heroes versus villains ends the same, except for Midoriya does a little bit better against Bakugo, and he doesn't break his arm. But Uraraka does manage to get the bomb because he got the weapons he asked for, and his hero costume basically take his regular costume, but instead of the bunny or the All Might fanboy, it's more tactical, so more sleek, and there's places for his stun grenades that he asked for on it, and his katana staff. Batons on the side of his forearms, and the short sword on his back. How long has it been? Okay, I'll keep going. And he's then Bakugo gets frustrated that Deku's team won, as Deku actually says to Bakugo, "Damn, Bakugo, I knew you were strong, but I didn't know you were this strong." As Bakugo goes, "Pfft, are you mocking me?" As Deku goes, "If I was mocking you, I would have a sword to your neck." As he pulls out the sword, and it's right next to his neck. As Bakugo finally realizes, Deku's giving him a compliment, and he goes, oh, thanks, I guess." As nobody, everybody's curious, but nobody really cares what happens to Deku, as he has no friends except Aoyama, and it's just more intrigue. As then the villain of the USJ happens. As on the bus ride, they're like, "So who do you think the strongest is?" As Suyu chimes in, "Well, with quirks, we're talking. If we're talking about strongest with quirks, it's Bakugo or Todoroki." As then Deku says, "What do you mean?" And as Suyu goes, "Well, if we're talking about who's the strongest with quirks, it's Bakugo and Todoroki. But if we're talking about, strongest, who would win in an all-out brawl, it would be hard to tell between Todoroki, Bakugo, and a Yu Izuku." As the whole class goes, "Yeah, that seems right." As they still don't know, how well he's gone, how good he is, because he's never gone full out, except against Bakugo. But, the cameras blew up because of Bakugo, so, they didn't get to see it. As they get in there, and they're like, Kirishima goes, "Sweet, even we get fake villains. Nice, they even got us fake villains." As before, Shoto can even say they're not fake, Deku grabs Ida and says, "Ida, you're the fastest, run," and kicks him, close to the door. As Aizawa says, he's right. He's right. As your teacher, I order you to go grab help." As, he gets out sooner. as Midoriya, before he can even say the rest of the class go out, Midoriya's already going down the stairs and he goes, "What are you doing?" As Midoriya goes, reinforcements are not going to get here until about 50 minutes, so I'm guessing you're going to need some help. As Aizawa goes, "This fucking kid." As he finally jumps down and he goes, "Fine, I got you. You get my back, I got yours." As Deku's like, "Good." As as they're as the villains are like, "Oh, look at this. The little puny quirkless kid, wants to fight us," because, they saw the All Might thing. Some of the villains saw the All Might thing. As the rest of the villains heard it, and they go, "Oh yeah, that is the quirkless kid from the Sludge Villain attack." As they all start laughing, as Deku, punches one of them with, enhancements quirk, and he goes flying. As Deku says, "Even though I'm quirkless, I can still beat the shit out of you." As then they get serious, as Deku starts parrying and, knocking them out. And then he goes, "That kid's annoying. Noma, get him." As since he doesn't have a quirk, he's not fast enough to dodge. He gets hit. Blood comes spewing out as he goes, "I think he ruptured my lung. And I think I broke, 3 ribs." As Noma goes for a second attack and he goes, "Fuck." As he dodges, but this time, because he moves around when he fights, he was actually, when Noma hit him, he was actually closer to Shigaraki when he flew back. As Shigaraki goes, "Ha, say goodbye." As he starts decaying his throat. As then All Might busts in and saves everybody, and because it got faster, and when Nomu is defeated, the whole class sees Deku and he goes, "Yeah, yo, Aoyama." As Aoyama's already kneeling on the ground, crying, goes, "What? Don't talk." He goes, "Don't talk, brother. You'll be okay." Everybody, all of UA, except, all the teachers that, got called in canon, and everybody who was at the USJ, is just, except for Recovery Girl. I mean, what's his name? Or what? 13. The girl the person with the black hole quirk, whatever her name was. I think it was 13. But even, Aizawa, because he was less hurt, because Deku was there. So, he still broke his arm, but, that's basically it. And his elbow was decayed. Wait 1 second. Sorry, I had to get some water. But, let's get strapped back in and, lose another brain cell. Yeah, so Izuku, we left off, USJ. Yeah, Izuku was dying, and, everybody knew this. The only people who were really sad were the teachers, and, oh, fuck, excuse me, the teachers and Aoyama. Nobody else really cared, as, Deku goes, well, as Aoyama's the only one who can hear him, as he says, "Well, yo, bro." As Aoyama says, "Don't talk. We'll get help for you." As Deku says, "There's no," coughing up, basically, his throat is decayed, so he's coughing out blood, where his throat is, and he goes, "There's no use, dude. I just wanted to tell you that." Just wanted to say that, tell everybody, I didn't die here, I didn't die here. I protected everyone here till the end. As, Deku dies, as it goes on the media. Oh, hero student dies while in U.S. while in school, and basically giving UA a bad reputation. They have the burial, and they have the funeral, as 2 weeks have passed, and there's no information given out for the kid. So there's reporters at the school, asking tons of questions, as Aoyama comes up, and they go, you're a student, you're a student in 1A. You're a student in, what happened? No, they say 1A because they afterwards they saw it, Aoyama in the being all shiny and being less shiny but still shiny because of his costume. In the After, when everybody came out of the USJ, basically, as they're like, you're a kid from class 1A. So what happened? Why didn't the teachers protect a classmate? As Aoyama has had enough, and the Zawa was instructed to ask them to politely leave, and he's going out there thinking, oh, what a pain. As All Might All Might is looking through the window, but he can hear them, as the most of class 1A is either arriving or is still walking to the arriving in the entrance and seeing the cameras and stuff, or in going to the building, as Aoyama just screams, "Can all of you shut up?" As it's really out of character for him, as class 1A all notice, because it's out of character, because somebody screamed, and then they notice Aoyama, and it's like, that's so out of character for him, so they pay more attention, as Aizawa is still walking, but he thinks, oh no, they've done it, as Aoyama says, "UA did not do anything wrong. Izuku Midoriya was the kid who got killed in action, and his dying words were, he did not die here, he did not die there today, that day. He protected everybody till the end." As this is broadcasted, through most of Japan, and Aoyama says, "The slander of my brother and UA, I will not stand for, and that is all you will hear from the school. I can guarantee you that that anything that you have not gotten in interviews with the teachers of 1A, you will not get any more. And that is why you're not allowed in. Now can you please leave us? We're still grieving." As Aizawa says, "Calm down, Aoyama." As Aoyama is crying, and he says, "But," as Aizawa goes, "I know." As Aizawa says, "The kid's right. You're lucky for the information you got." And they all leave, as it's UA doesn't have such a bad reputation anymore, like as bad. But then we go to heaven, where not this one. I just like this picture. Let's say Izuku wakes up, he looks like this, and he goes, "Oh, where am I?" As he has a doll, and he goes, "Huh, I like this doll, I'm keeping it." As he goes, "Where am Oh, I died, that's right." As then he sees, frick, as he sees this, the guy, and she says, "Well, young man, it looks like you died. You have died." As Deku says, "I know." As, he can't remember anything except he died. As then, for some reason, he gets all of his memories back, which he was not supposed to, as, some things that he blocked out of his memory return, the abuse while he was in the foster care system, the sexual and physical abuse that he got, as that's what triggers this, as he remembers everything from the time he was in the foster care system, which was about a year, and he went through three foster parents. The first foster parent was okay, and he actually had a good time. The second one, abused him constantly, all day, every day, and even night. And he got no sleep for about 3 weeks, and that's when they had to change foster cares, because they found out that the parents abused him. As this third and final one sexually abused him, and he's really, and that's what did it the most, as all of them, her, 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 yeah. So the god of death, her, I haven't figured out a name. Figure out a name in the second part. If, yeah, this one won't be as long as the first one. So yeah, it will. So her, the god of death, her, the god of life, the god of war, nature, and peace. So all three of them, and she's actually the god of death and destruction. God of life and light. War and frustration, nature and beauty, and peace and hope. Those are those gods, as it, because he blocked out so much memory of 1 year, and it all come back in one. He crack, like his mental state completely cracks, as he's left looking, as that's when his hair turns white, half of his hair turns white, and he gets a star pupil, and the color of his eyes, the flicker on his eye, that's what happened. And they all go, oh, what's happening at the let's say, okay, let's say she says, what's happening, um what's happening, Rose? As I'm just gonna give her Rose. As Rose says, I have no idea, Silva, and we'll call her Silva. As she's looking around, going, it looks like it looks like it looks it looks like the dimensions are cracking. I thought, after sealing the Demon Lord, the dimensions couldn't crack. Uh 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 oh, what should her name be? Wait 1 second. As she says, looks, I thought the dimensions couldn't crack after we sealed the Demon Lord, Lucy. As this is gonna be Lucy. Her name's gonna be Lucy. And Lucy says, it can't. The demon, it shouldn't be possible. Um. Wait 1 second. Oh. Okay. As Lucy says, it can't. It shouldn't be. Lucy. Her name is no. Her name is Lucy. Her name is Luna. And then let me think of a name for her too. Frick. Why won't it pause? As she says, as Eden says, look at the boy. As they all look at Izuku, and Izuku is like behind him, after all the trauma and stuff, where he's a blank slate. You see this pop up. You see these behind. They see these behind him. They see this behind him, this behind him, this behind him, this behind him, this behind him. All of these behind him. Oh, oops! All of these behind him. Like all of them are just standing behind him. As they all say, so this boy, this boy is so fractured. He manifested, the everything. As you know, we're just gonna say all the things standing behind him represent everything. As you know, Izuku grabs his doll, and the cracking, it's a pure white sky where they are. As their cracking, stops going as fast as he's hugging his doll, and then you know, um, she hugs him, and the cracking starts to heal. As they're all like, oh, so we should. As then they all hug him, as in our circle, hugging him. As the cracking disappears, as Izuku says, "Earth, home." As they're like, oh, such a poor boy. As Izuku has been mentally broken at this point because all of his memories came back, and when at actually, let's not say all of his memories. Let's say only the memories of that 1 year when he was in the foster system came back. So he cracked, and he can only, and the only word he said was home Aoyama. As they're like, I'm sorry, but you died. You can't go see Aoyama. As Deku says, fine, home then. As there's a gate. As they're like, wait. As Deku goes, no, home, you come or not. As they're all like, we're come. As they're in the middle of a valley, of like a valley with hills and stuff. As they're like, so is this your home? And as Deku goes, no, home is this. As Deku creates this and goes, this is home. As they're all like, oh, so he wants to be alone. As Deku goes, you. As Deku points to her, as he says, you. As she says, my name is Eden. And he goes, Eden. Please follow me. As he brings her to he brings her to a garden where he creates this, and he says, this beautiful. As then he creates this. Sorry, wrong. As he creates this, and he goes, this is where sleep. As she notices he created an indestructible gem. As he says, no one bother me in here. And he goes, I'll be safe in here, right? As she goes, yes. As then he creates this, and this phoenix and this phoenix. As he says, birds pretty, give life. And then he creates, this, and he gives it to her, Eden, and he says, because beautiful like Eden. His vocabulary is very skewed because of the mental breakdown. So he's still he's basically, like a caveman, but and then he creates this, and these, and he says to all three of them at the same time, make sure no one hurts. And he creates this person. He creates these two people. As he says to him, you answer door. I mean, you are master when I am sleeping. As he goes, okay. As he has a full personality. He's gonna be like the Izuku they knew. As then this woman he created, he says, you. Cause when he made her, he gave her cooking. The skill to cook, and he goes, you food when hungry. As she goes, okay. As to everybody that lives in Izuku's house, they're all like respectful, but they have different personalities when other people come. And she walks to the kitchen to make something because she's hungry. As he as Izuku shows him his bed, as and he he shows them all their rooms and stuff. And then Izuku asks her, we safe? As she says, not not when the castle is visible from, so far away, as Deku says. Oh, as he turns everything invisible, every part of the castle invisible unless you are on the road, by it. So, it's and the road is very like it's a broken down road, like very little people come here. And this is a part that Izuku found when he saw the area they're at when he was a little kid when he was out training, but he could never get there because the journey would be too dangerous. And he always thought it looked beautiful and imagine having a castle there and living there, and that's why he lives there. As then Izuku says to all of them, going to bed, as they are like, "Where's bed?" As they are like, wait, as the gods are like, "Wait," as she says, "Don't." He doesn't trust us. Right now, we have to stay here and wait. As they are like, okay, and in UA, it's been 3 months in UA, so the sports festival already happened, but they're going out to the training camp arc, and that will be for the next episode. But just to let you know, they're going to the training camp arc, and they may or may not find Izuku. Now, this has been, what if Deku, died and got reincarnated or whatever. Let's just, oh, I know. What if Deku, became emotionless, and that. But but this has been part 1 of what if Deku became emotionless, and sorry again for if the bad audio, but at least you didn't lose a brain cell. But yeah, no, actually I'm gonna ask for 10. Yeah, I'm gonna ask for 10 likes on this video if you want a part 2, and if you want a ship in this series, just comment under below if you want a canon ship. I'm not if you want a canon ship, a ship from UA, I'll put it in. And if you already see a ship that you want in the comments, just upvote it or like it so I know, because I don't want my comment section full of the same. So whichever one I see first on the video is gonna, when we get 10 likes on the video, the first one I see is gonna be the ship. And if you don't want a ship, just comment no ship from UA or whatever. And yeah, this has been it. Talk to y'all later.